Welcome once again, everyone, to the Lagoon. You know, I always thought it would be cool to take down evil dictators and criminal masterminds 80s action movie style. I'd like to go in to some super fortified palace in some third world developing country and take out the oppressive leaders like I was John McClane or Harry Callahan or Arnold Schwarzenegger's character from Commando. However, I have a rather consistent fear of, well, dying, so all of that is kind of out of the question, since I'm not crazy enough to even attempt it. However, if I had enough money, I don't see why I couldn't just hire an assassin to do the job for me. The question then would be, who would I get to take out these despotic, evil sons of bitches? Well, if I had a choice of anyone, and being a man of, well, a taste for bad girls, probably one of my first choices would inevitably be Ravager, aka Rose Wilson from DC Comics. Who is she? Well, allow me to explain. Rose Wilson used to be a friend of the Teen Titans, but one day she was taken by her gun-for-hire father, Deathstroke, aka Slade Wilson, who hired an assassin to kill her foster family, and made her kill the same man. After that, she became a violent-as-hell protege for her dad, who saw her as a valuable asset thanks to her precognitive ability to see into the future by a few seconds to properly counter enemy attacks. Rose Wilson was incredibly attached to Deathstroke, considering him to the only real father she had ever had. So attached, she even gouged out one of her own eyes just to look like him. Now, that's taking the phrase like father, like daughter, just a little too far, don't you think? However, her admiration for her father soon soured, seeing him as nothing more than a psycho who was using her, and she joined back up with her old friends the Titans during the one-year Raider arc. She was one of the more enjoyable parts of that little event, especially for me and my fellow BB and Ray shippers, because our two favorite characters had their relationship on the back burner thanks to those bastards in editorial, so we had to look for our enjoyment wherever we got it. Rose gave us that enjoyment. She was a badass, take no prisoners, anti-heroine with the swords and skill to back up her reputation. She proved herself to be a great asset for the team time and time again, helping the Titans to find Raven and root out a traitor, fight against her father and his newly formed evil version of the Titans called Titans East, stop their evil future selves from ensuring their time will come to pass. And, during a crossover event with the Blue Beetle series, she even helped the Titans and the Beetle make sure a rocket with anti-alien invasion technology would launch on schedule when Lobo, yes, that Lobo, attacked it. She almost got killed by Lobo when he grabbed her and held her in front of the rocketing engines of the shuttle. But Blue Beetle saved her, making her pretty much an instant fan, and making her sort of love interest Eddie, aka Kid Devil, kinda jealous. Overall, like Blue and Eddie, most of the team treated her like she was one of the crowd. Sure, she was violent and obviously troubled, but she was slowly getting over those cravings of bloodlust. Slowly, due in part thanks to the Titans setting her on the right path. But even after everything she did to help them, at least one Titan was still convinced Ravager was still evil. So that's our subject for today. We're going to look at Ravager in one of her most awesome books, and watch another character totally denigrate her for no good reason, like she has some kind of moral authority over her. So let's read Teen Titans issue number 57 to find out exactly who it is. The cover is pretty simple. Ravager has her swords out, ready to strike down a bunch of shadowy figures that seem to be chasing her. I'd like to allow everyone to note that Ravager's outfit shows no skin whatsoever, yet it still manages to look hot on her. But then again, maybe that's just my own personal taste. Whatever. The cover tells us to beware the Terror Titans. A rather silly name, but considering who's leading them, it makes sense. Who's leading them? Well, if I told you that, it wouldn't be a surprise now, would it? We open up on Marvin and Wendy. One of the student comic cartoon knowledge like myself will remember them as the powerless heroes in training from the Super Friends show when it first aired. In the comics, they worked for the Titans as tech assistants in Titan's Tower. But today, they're cleaning up after the Titans and complaining about. After all, they apparently have degrees in creating artificial intelligence, and now they're janitors. Hey, you should have read the fine print on the contract before you got this job. it clearly states that one must have a doctorate or knowledge of advanced scientific principles and be able to scrape out microwaves. Wendy notices a pocket watch on the ground while Marvin cleans up what's left of an Italian sub in the... You know what? I don't know what it is. Something with spectral imaging. I don't have time for technobabble. We then cut to Rose meditating somewhere in the tower. She's not exactly into it though, and tries to tell Eddie, aka Kid Devil, that blows. Unfortunately, she doesn't know where he is. While her back is turned, a guy in a snake suit sneaks up from behind her and pounces. Then Rose suddenly turns around and kicks him in the face! We're going to be keeping an awesome counter for today's review. Let's see how many awesome moments Ravager can rack up in one issue. Sneaking up behind me? Oh, please. Daddy Dearest covered the yard of roundhouse kicking snakes in the face on day one of her training with him. He even brought in a specialist. I think he was called Patrick Muldoon. The caption box at the bottom gives us a synopsis of Rose's story. The daughter of Deathstroke, the world's most formidable assassin, Rose Wilson, strives to not be like her father, using her advanced abilities to fight alongside the Teen Titans as Ravager. I like the way they wrote the title, although it does remind me of the Vampire the Masquerade Games font. We then cut to another scene in Georgetown, Washington, D.C., where we find Cassie Sandsmark, aka Wonder Girl, going out to get the mail. Then the current Robin, Tim Drake, shows up to tell her that Eddie hasn't been seen since Monday. You know, Rose would never admit this, but she's really worried about Eddie. She texted me, "I don't buy it. Rose Wilson doesn't care about anyone who isn't Rose Wilson." You're exaggerating. Yeah, well, sometimes a one-eyed sociopath is a one-eyed sociopath. Yes. Cassie is the one I talked about earlier. The one who treats Rose like crap. In contrast with our awesome counter, we're going to count how many times Cassie acts like a total bitch and says something bad about Rose. This counts as 2. Back in Titan's Tower, some chick who looks like she's the offspring of the G.I. Joe villains Deathstroke and the Baroness has tied up Wendy and Marvin and taken out tower security. Apparently they zapped themselves in with the watch Wendy found. A second intruder is trying to contact the snake suit guy, Copperhead, about her progress. But he's too busy getting pushed into a glass picture frame by Rose to bother listening. Rose overhears Copper's earpiece and who he's talking to. She figures her dad hired them to attack her. Copperhead corrects her, saying it wasn't her father. "We're the Terror Titans, a whole new set of problems. Our name may be ridiculous, but we do twice the evil nonetheless, like jaywalking during rush hour, punching babies after taking their candy, and shoplifting beer to give to minors." Ravager gets caught by Copper and asks her if she can guess what comes next. "Actually, I can." And Rose uses her future sensing abilities to pull Copper into the path of Deathstroke's illegitimate offspring's atomic axe. So now it's 2-on-1. During the fight, though, we cut back to Cassie and Tim, who are talking about Rose, why she's fighting bad guys and trying to defend her home. Needless to say, this makes Cassie's bitchy moments even worse. Trust me, you'll see. Tim tries to tell Cassie to give Rose a break, because she's trying. Cassie responds, saying she doesn't see it. "And don't call me Cassie here. It's Drusilla." Drusilla? You changed your secret identity while in Georgetown to Drusilla. It's almost like she revels in her bitchy attitude, isn't it? Fine then. She wants to be called that? We'll call her that. Cassie, oh wait, Drusilla, reminds Tim and us that Rose gouged out her eye and that she killed people. Tim reminds her that that wasn't her fault and it was her father's. Drusilla responds saying that she's still homicidal and messed up. Tim tells her that's why they need to help her. Drusilla tells Tim she doesn't want their help. So what? The reason that she's difficult to work with justifies throwing her out of her ass. Throwing an obviously unstable girl out of the only real home she's had since her father screwed with her life and her mind. That isn't only bitchy, it's completely irresponsible. Anyway, back to the tower, where Rose has got Copperhead in a chokehold and is planning on snapping his neck. Copperhead explains his suit makes that impossible to happen, as he's a human snake. But I guess I better go get my machete then. So she tosses Copperhead off and goes running for her room. But Girl Destro fills her in on something. We already got your little boyfriend. That's right. You wouldn't believe the things we've done to Kid Devil. Yes, tell the obviously homicidal assassin what you did to her love interest. That will piss her off at all. You didn't inherit Destro's brains, did you?